once again to day 13 of our 365 Days of Courage, where we try to encourage one another with God's words in the Bible by looking at Bible verses that assures us not to be afraid, to take courage, and to fear nothing. Our Bible verse for today is taken from 1 Samuel chapter 22, verse 23. Anong sabi doon? Stay with me, do not be afraid. Okay. Ano ba yung senaryo dito sa Bible verse na to? Remember that King Saul was so jealous of David because, as we all know, David is the anointed one. The anointed one to succeed King Saul, and that he was more popular than King Saul. And the worst thing is that King Saul's son, Jonathan, David's best friend, followed David instead of his own father. So, nagalit itong si King Saul. Anong ginawa niya? He tried to pursue David. Kung saan man siya pumunta, pinupuntahan din niya. And it so happened that David at that time consulted Ahimelech, one of the priests of the Lord. Kinonsulta niya si God through Ahimelech. And of course, itong si Doeg, sa mga nakakita sa pagpunta ni David dito kay Ahimelech, reported the matter to King Saul. And so, King Saul, tinawag niya si Ahimelech and verified from him kung totoo yun. And sinabi ni Ahimelech na inamin niya na tinulungan pa niya si David, and that Ahimelech even gave the sword of Goliath to David. So nagalit lalo itong si King Saul at pinagpapatay niya lahat ng mga pari, including the relatives of Ahimelech. And then one of the sons of Ahimelech was able to survive, and hinanap niya si David at kwento yung nangyari. At anong sinabi ni David sa kanya? Dito ka lang sa akin, huwag ka matakot. Why? Because yung mga taong gustong pumatay sa'yo, gusto rin nila akong patayin. So of course, the son of Ahimelech was also afraid na baka isusunod siya, and that is for sure na isusunod siya ring patayin. Because at that time, there were 85 priests. Kaya nga, nakalagay dun sa chapter na yun, chapter 22 of 1 Samuel, slaughter of the priests. Ibig sabihin, pinagbintangan niya yung mga pari ng Diyos na nakipagkutsaba kay David. Kaya, and they even consulted God for him. And out of his rage, out of his jealousy, bakit mas tinutulungan pa itong si David kaysa sa akin na ako yung hari? Kaya niya ginawa yun. Now, makabuluhan yung sinabi ni David dito sa anak ni Ahimelech na ito. Dito ka lang. Stay with me. Stay with me. Do not be afraid. Why? Because I'm going to protect you from those people who are trying to kill you. Why? Because it is the same people who are trying to kill you. They are also trying to kill me. Alright? Now, let us connect this to our readings for today. It is no longer taken from the Gospel, but from the Acts of the Apostles, particularly chapter 1, verse 4. Actually, itong Acts of the Apostles is a continuation ng Gospel by Saint Luke. Okay. Chapter 1, verse 4, sabi dito, and when they came together, he gave them this order, do not leave Jerusalem, but wait for the gift that I told you about, the gift that my father promised. Now, ano naman yung senaryo kung bakit sinabi ng Panginoong Jesus ito? Because we all know that after the death and resurrection of Jesus, for 40 days, patuloy siyang nagpapakita at nakisalamuha sa kanyang mga apostles. And came now the time na he's now about to ascend. And by the way, this Sunday is also called Ascension Sunday, because this is yung gospel reading natin sa ngayon is ito yung pag-akyat ng ating Panginoong Jesus sa langit, leaving the apostles behind But He did not just leave them, but He promised them that the Holy Spirit will come. Now, dito sa Ascension Sunday na ito, Ascension meaning aakyat na sa langit itong si Jesus. Maiiwan na yung mga apostles. And then, pag akyat niya sa langit, hindi naman agad-agad bumaba kaagad yung Holy Spirit. Nagkaroon pa ng ilang araw in between. There's about 1 week more bago dumating yung Holy Spirit. So you could just imagine yung tsura ng mga apostles from that ascension up to the time na darating yung Holy Spirit na ipinangako. Siguro takot din sila, no? And that is why they locked themselves in the upper room. And nung nasa upper room sila, that was the time na bumaba yung Holy Spirit sa kanila, and we call that the Pentecost. Ngayon, in that span of time na umakyat si Jesus sa langit at wala pang bumababa sa Holy Spirit, what were the apostles doing? Of course, they were all afraid, and that is why they locked themselves in that room. Siguro iba sa kanila nagdadasal, siguro iba sa kanila nagme-meditate doon sa mga nangyari. Siguro kung may cellphone sila nung time na yun, nag-ML yung iba, nag-AFB yung iba. Who knows what they did. But one thing is for sure, siguro natakot din sila, no? Dahil iniwan sila ng Panginoon. Now, yung fear pumasok sa kanila because of the thought na, paano na to? Wala na. Umakyat na si Jesus. Iniwan tayo. So, maybe some of them even entertained the thought na, nako, tama pa ba itong ginagawa natin? Tama pa ba na maghintay tayo dito? Tama pa ba? Alright. And yung mga fear na yan is naramdaman nila dahil biglang umalis si Jesus na wala pang kapalit. Hindi pa bumababa yung Holy Spirit. And that is also the time na ang Diablo, si Satanas, will try to divert the attention dun sa time na wala yung shepherd and the sheep are left like flock with no shepherd to tend. And so, dito natin makikita na yung takot is bunga yan ng kawalan. Ibig sabihin, since from ascension up to the descent of the Holy Spirit sa Pentecost, wala si Jesus. So, it could have been the time na pumasok itong si Satanas para i-distract yung mga apostles sa kanilang ginagawa. Kaya nga sinabi ng Panginoon sa kanila, do not leave Jerusalem. Huwag kayong umalis. Hintayin ninyo yung regalo na darating. You wait for the gift that my Father promised, and that is the gift of the Holy Spirit. Now, what if isa sa kanila umalis, hindi nakahintay? Wala, hindi niya matatanggap yung regalo. So what is the lesson for all of us here? Dapat marunong tayong maghintay. At habang tayo ay naghihintay, huwag tayong matakot. Just like David assuring the son of Ahimelech, stay with me, dito ka lang, huwag kang matakot. Yan din yung assurance na sinasabi ni Jesus sa atin, wait nyo yung gift na ibibigay ng tatay ko sa inyo. Huwag muna kayong umalis. And so therefore, in that span of waiting, na kung saan tayo ay natatakot dahil nandun tayo sa kawalan, na walang nag-guide sa atin, wala pa yung Holy Spirit sa atin, let us wait with patience and with courage. Pasaan ba't darating din yung regalo na yan na ibibigay ng ating Panginoon sa atin? And pag nahintay natin, then di ba mas masaya? And what we all know what happened dun sa Pentecost. Pagbaba ng Holy Spirit, the apostles were all empowered. Empowered to what? To proclaim the good news of salvation to all. Na kung saan wala na silang pakialam kung ano man ang mangyari sa kanila. Hindi na nila iniisip kung ano ang mangyari sa mga buhay nila, because they were only thinking of one thing, and that is to spread the good news, to share the good news, to share God's love, to share the love of Jesus to one another. And so yun ang ating words of encouragement for today, day 13. Do not be afraid. We stay with the Lord. At whatever stage we are right now, whether we are waiting, whether we are busy, whether we are contemplating to move along, to forget that promise, stay with the Lord and wait for His promise. And while we stay and while we wait, let us not be afraid. Let's have courage and we continue to do what He has commanded us to do. So, thank you once again, guys, for watching. And I hope you stay tuned. I will see you tomorrow for day 14 of our 365 days of courage. Bye, guys. Love you all.